In 2 short weeks, we will be able to experience the Thunderbolts. Well, not me personally, and very likely not you as well. In fact, I don't actually know outside of the review class who's actually going to go see this. But the early reviews are in, and boy, it seems like we were here not that long ago talking about early reviews and how certain things were stunning and amazing. And it's, oh my God, it's the best thing that I've ever seen since the last thing that I've ever seen. And yeah, you got the early social media reactions to the Thunderbolts, and well, we can cherry pick a couple of these examples because the red carpet just happened earlier this week, and well, it's got the predictable shill reaction. The Thunderbolts is in many ways different from other MCU films, and that have come before it, and that the freshness couldn't have arrived at a more opportune time when the franchise is in the need of new blood and direction. It's some of Marvel's darkest material to date. Well, wasn't Daredevil Born Again marketed as like a gritty street level drama that eventually turns into one of the most astoundingly silly political tailspins that you could ever perceive a show to fall down? Like, oh my God, how do you have the mayor of New York got power to the entire city of New York, institute an 8 p.m. curfew, set up a little sovereign port in the Empire City, and not have all of the superheroes that are set up in the Big Apple descend upon the mayor's office? Like, how does that happen? But no, it's gritty, it's realistic, and you remember the Netflix thing. Just like, hey, you come in, you remember Black Widow. Well, actually, probably you shouldn't do that. Hey, you remember Captain Black Falcon, America Man, just on the tip of my tongue, because we'll make more references to that film very shortly, and something that this film could only hope to achieve in the realm of success. But no, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Remember that, because that's where a host of these characters are coming from. Because yeah, we got a veritable who's that when it comes to the cast members. You remember Yelena? Yeah, exactly. Remember Ghost? Remember Red Guardian? Remember, actually, I don't know anybody else that's up there. Oh, right, Madam Hydra, because Julia Louis-Dreyfus, she was in Veep, and that was cool, I guess. Well, Thunderbolts is easily one of the best MCU movies in a long time. Wow, I'm seeing a trend right here. One of the best in a long time. Has so much spark, charisma, and tells a genuinely emotional story with, you connect with. A tear was shed. Florence Pugh is particularly superb, and just walks away with it, I'm sure. Shocked how good Thunderbolts is. Putting emphasis on the character work and practical action makes us feel like the old Marvel that has us for a decade plus. Wish we'd gotten this sooner. Helps that this dysfunctional team has chemistry too. Dysfunctional team has chemistry. Yeah, okay, bro. Thunderbolts is one of Marvel's most enjoyable films in a while. Wow, just a real return to form, huh? Yeah, really screams contrite, but even the rags out here, they're just also getting in on all the fun. Thunderbolts first reactions Florence Pugh is superb in some of Marvel's darkest material to date. Thunderbolts has been revealed to members of the film press, and the first reactions are calling the superhero tentpole a bold dive into trauma, healing, and redemption. Cast members Florence Pugh made her Marvel debut in Black Widow as Yelena, and is now headlining her first MCU movie after popping up in shows like Hawkeye. Oh, interesting. So once again, we're just going to have another female-led superhero team. I'm sure this is going to do great. The Oscar nominee's performance is being called superb, and the one that shines the brightest among the cast. The Best Picture Editor-in-Chief. Oh, next Best Picture Editor-in-Chief. Okay. That didn't make a lot of sense. Matt Nagalia writes that the Thunderbolts is a sum of Marvel's darkest material to date, and very much belongs to Florence Pugh, who carries much of the dramatic weight to the movie on her back, while Lewis Pullman delivers a complex performance, because he's the good guy and the bad guy. He's this is Sentry we're talking about. He's Marvel's answer to Superman, and the only guy that can take him down is his alter ego. That's the Void. Spoilers for a film nobody's actually going to watch, but it may not be the flashiest, funniest, or strongest Marvel film, but its rough edges and imperfections somehow all feels fitting for this anti-hero team of misfits. Yeah, the more I see about this film, the more it really does harken back to David Ayer's Suicide Squad. What are we, some type of Thunderbolts? It's really going to be a hard sell. Film writer Emily Murray called Thunderbolts easily one of the best MCU film or movies in a long time, but I'd also like to see her other critique. What was her take on Captain America? Brave New World. But she also thought that, oh, this is such a great return to form for Marvel. This is easily one of the best films that they've done in a while. Putting emphasis on the character work and practical action makes it feels like old Marvel. Following a group of mouthy anti-heroes teaming up against a common thread, the film stars Yelena, Sentry, John Walker, Ghost, Bucky Barnes, Red Guardian, and Taskmistress. Well, don't anticipate her. Task Manager's not going to be around for this one for very long, because she's the only member of the Thunderbolts that didn't get a chair during that stupid Avengers Doomsday stream. And also, she was conspicuously absent from the red carpet premiere, so it just kind of lets you know that don't get too terribly attached to somebody who you only seen for a couple of minutes in Black Widow. You might not have remembered it, but she was the one who, well, after Task Mystery took off his helmet, and then they had to cut the camera and put Olga Kurylenko, the most forgettable Bond girl, into the suit after the fact, because he had a stunt guy do everything up to that point. But anyways, Marvel is hoping for a win with the Thunderbolts after February's Captain America Brave New World failed to achieve commercial and critical success. But hey, we got some news for you on that front, because Thunderbolts now on track to perform worse than Captain America Brave New World in the latest box office projection. Yeah, that's kind of been the case for a minute. We talked about this beforehand, and now, yeah, it's all but confirmed at this point in time. It might do better than the Marvels, meaning it might do better than Snow White, the last film that we heard from a bunch of shills that was actually better than you thought it was going to be, but in reality, it was worse than you could have possibly imagined. But it's very likely to do better than that, but it's going to do worse than Captain America Brave New World. Ooh, and that's tough too, because Captain America had like open highway to succeed, and it just barely creeped over $400 million. But this film, coming out May 2nd, it's going to have to deal with the tail end of the wave that is Minecraft. And then in very short order, it's going to end up getting pushed out on the 23rd by Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. So it has a very short period of time to burn very brightly. It's just, I legitimately don't know anybody who thinks that this will be anything but a mid-movie, which I think that optimism in and of itself is very, very misplaced, because you look at this cast of characters, okay? If you can even remember any of them before, like the only one that's worth a damn is John Walker, and I'm sure, and from the little we've seen from some of the promotional material, he's basically a stay-at-home dad, so he's, yeah, immediately getting presented as a cuck, because the idiots behind the Falcon and Winter Soldier show very much didn't want you to root for the guy that has 3 Purple Hearts, who decided to throw the shield aside just so he could save a bus full of innocent people. Yeah, he's supposed to be the bad guy right there. But Black Falcon, who has the great superpower of empathy, the best thing that he could do was tell a senator to do better, but he's somehow the hero in all of this. Yeah, okay, man. Why would you think a bunch of characters that were from films and from TV shows that is consistently underperformed, why would you think bundling all of them up would end up producing something remotely passable or remotely successful? Like, there was considerable hope from people out there that thought that, you know, hey, they scrapped a bunch of stuff that they had for the original cut for MCU Daredevil, okay? And now they're doing Born Again. Oh my God, they're bringing in people that are actually passionate about that. Why would you have any hope after that series, okay? And everything that we're hearing about the Fantastic Four, and oh, we'll talk more about that in the next video. Marvel might be turning a corner. They might have fired a bunch of activists, but they are incapable of delivering anything competent. They're just really bad. Now they might be slightly less ideological, but you still have a girl boss in charge of the Thunderbolts that doesn't have any Thunderbolts in it. By all available metrics, Thunderbolts is shaping up to be a full-scale alarm bell for the Walt Disney Company. The anti-hero ensemble film, originally hyped up as gritty, edgy answer to Marvel fatigue, is now on track to become one of the lowest-grossing movies in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Possibly the lowest, depending on how ticket sales shake out in the coming weeks. That's not good, okay? And this is very much going to have a knock-on effect for the Fantastic Four, which I think of the big three, it's going to be really tough, because If Superman is a bad movie, I think it's going to end up underperforming Fantastic Four. Like, it's probably going to be a mess from the leaks that we've seen out there. I mean, it does not look good at all. I went over them in a video not that long ago, and bro, that script sounds like absolute cancer. And that extended look at the first scene, it makes me want to just gouge my eyes out with a kryptonite spear. But I think even if, hoping beyond hope, Jurassic World Rebirth is good, if Superman is good and Fantastic Four is good, it very likely, okay, Marvel's offering would end up performing the worst of those three, okay, because people, I think, generally want to see a Superman film succeed. You could see from the original teaser that was out there, it had a lot of goodwill behind it, okay, it was generally received quite well and had a lot of engagement. As for the Fantastic Four trailer, I mean, it doesn't really look like it's all that exciting, and we're at this point right now where I'm supposed to be talking about the Thunderbolts, and I don't even care to talk about that. We're just talking about the knock-on effect that this film is going to have, and then what ends up coming out during the gap between the release of the Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four. All right, Ironheart's coming out in June. Big excited about that? Yeah, exactly. Marvel is so cooked. Like, Avengers Doomsday is going to make over $1 billion, mostly because it has to and because they're throwing literally everything at that. But what happens after that? That's definitely going to end up painting the picture for what the future is looking like, because as it sits right now, it's awfully fucking dim. According to both Box Office Pro, Thunderbolts is tracking for a domestic opening weekend between $63 and $85 million, with a target around $70 million. That would position it at the bottom of the 3 MCU opening weekends of all time, behind films like Shang-Chi and The Eternals, and not far above the franchise's historic low of The Marvels, which debuted with just $46 million last year before, well, at the end of 2023, before collapsing with a global gross under, well, depending on who you're looking at, if it's the numbers, they still have it under $200 million, but I think Box Office Mojo has it 206 or something like that, but yeah, under $210 million, because Captain Black Falcon America Man had an $88 million opening weekend, and that ends up exceeding the high points on the projections. So, oof. What's most concerning is that the Thunderbolts doesn't have the excuse that hampered other Marvel underperformers. It's not a brand new IP with unfamiliar characters. It's not releasing in the middle of the pandemic. It's not being quietly dumped or facing off against dominant box office competition. If anything, it should be a safe swing. Yes, a cast of recognizable characters, or at least Marvel hopes that they are, because they introduced all of them during, well, with the exception of Ghost, but nobody remembers what movie she came in on begin with, but all of them, debuted in the past 5 years or so, a Bucky notwithstanding, obviously. We'll even have to see how much he's going to be involved in this, but yeah, for the first couple of weeks, it's generally going to be unencumbered by competition. It's just once again proving studios, theaters aren't entitled to the public's money. You have to earn this. Pre-sales data tells a sobering story. Tickets are now available, and the early indicators show lots of empty seats, even for Thursday previews and Friday primetime shows. The fan base isn't clamoring to be first in line. As Cosmic Book News notes, Thunderbolts will likely rely on word of mouth to turn things around, a risky bet for a franchise that has lost considerable trust with casual audiences and hardcore fans alike. Their reliance on social media buzz mirrors the surprise success of the Minecraft movie, which turned around dismal pre-sale numbers with an explosion of TikTok-fueled enthusiasm. Oh, great. So this is going to end up being the big takeaway once the Thunderbolts bombs. We need to tell more stories, and we need to cater to the audience that is just trying to trying to get clips for memes on TikTok. So if you think the storytelling in Marvel is shit right now, we know that they end up learning the wrong lessons from their big successes and their big failures. What did they learn from Deadpool and Wolverine? The same thing that they learned from Spider-Man No Way Home. Jam pack it with cameos and things that people remember. They didn't learn from No Way Home that, oh, cool, if you're going to bring in those characters, give them something to do and tell a good story with that. What's everybody going to learn from the Minecraft movie? We need to do more video game adaptations. But what is Marvel's big takeaway from the Thunderbolts going to be? Oh, we just need more X-Men in this. Oh, fantastic stuff. I can't wait. The future of Hollywood has never looked brighter, and by brighter, I mean brighter in the same way that a Tibetan monk self-immolating is brighter. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.